All right, we are live for a Sunday night edition of the People's Talk Show. Excited to connect. It's been a minute, but wanted to connect real quick, share my 2 cents on just the narrative that's being given to us. And of course, we have to look through all the noise and try to find out what the real story's all about. And so definitely looking forward to getting your thoughts on what's happening because the mainstream media, of course, is running with this story. And it looks like there's some headlines coming out that I thought I would bring to your attention and just see where you guys are at these days. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome to RT Live Talk, the number one late night YouTube talk show. And hopefully, my schedule wise, I'll be back on course. But other than that, I miss kicking it with like minded people. So definitely looking forward to having a chance to reconnect and definitely see what you're keeping your eye on as well. So before I move forward, let's check in via the chat real quick. I want to make sure that everything is flowing smoothly. If I can get this set up on my end. And I want to make sure that everyone is doing fine. If we got any first-time viewers, let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to connect with you directly and find out what's going on. And so I got to close some things, and hopefully I can make this stream smoothly. But give me 1 second here. If we have any first-time viewers, definitely let me know where you're watching from via the chat. We'd love to acknowledge your presence. And yeah, let's make it work, man. Let's make it work. So once as always, trying to tinker with things on the back end. All right, so there we go. I can see now. So let me acknowledge a couple people. Then I'll just share with you some headlines caught my attention. As always, it's more distractions, diversion tactics going on out here. And I think this one might be one worth paying attention to because it will be used further throughout the remainder of this year. Like this balloon situation, definitely the globalists, the warmongers are going to use this. And this could be somehow, some way, the trigger that kicks off things with China because the U.S. always need an enemy. So, all right, let me stop ranting. Let me acknowledge a couple people, and then we'll jump into share the articles. Then I'll open up the phone lines. I want to hear from you guys directly. All right, we got Paul checking in. Auto scroll. Let me auto scroll. Yeah, we got Faith Parent checking in. MW checking in. Appreciate you guys, man. What else we got here? Let me see. Will Smith checking in. I gotta go back up. Don't get a chance to scroll. Let me see if I can scroll. Can't scroll. All right, so I won't be able to acknowledge any more people. But anyway, I know you're here. Appreciate you for joining me, man. Won't be long. Just wanted to connect with you guys and definitely hear from you guys. So when I open the phone lines, we'd love to hear from you and to find out what your thoughts are on this whole balloon situation, how this could be used as a catalyst for something a lot worse, but we'll see. Anyway, let me make sure I'm going. All right, so it's been a minute. Hope everyone's doing well. I have, let me see, maybe just, I have a headline here, two different headlines here that caught my attention, which sparked me to want to connect just to share with you a different narrative, of course, as to what's going on, just because whatever we're being sold on the surface is ultimately a cover up or distraction for something else happening behind the scenes. And it's usually not next week, 2 weeks from now, that we actually hear about what really took place around this time frame. And it has a lot to do with just the overall health of the global economy on top of the things that's taking place under the surface in reference to other nations and their moves beyond the Western's dominance. So anyway, got some things here I want to share with you, but I'm trying to learn this program if I can. Murray, how you doing, my friend? Let me see here. I'll show this on screen real quick. It says a couple of Chinaman with the binoculars checking out the real estate. Surely just a tourist balloon as the jet flies by. Right. If it was that simple. I question the timing of everything. I question the narrative we're sold. I question the next step that will be taken by both China as well as the West. And of course, right now, this whole balloon situation is causing a continual rift in the political scheme to where now the Republicans now are going to run with this and saying that Biden didn't act fast enough. He should have shot it down further. And come on now. Anyway, let me just get into some headlines, man. And don't want to waste your time. Let me maneuver some things on my side. But here are some of the things that usually get swept under the rug. Whatever is usually talked about on the mainstream news, well before then, there were events that probably took place by the U.S. or other nations that did not get any mainstream coverage just because it wasn't needed to be used as a propaganda piece. And so, talking about balloons and things of that nature, flying over countries, if it happens to us, it's a problem. But if we do it to the rest of the world, it's okay because it's all disguised as protecting our own national interests. You know how that narrative goes. So let me share an article or just a headline real quick with you, just to give you a little bit of another side of the story. So here is a article that came out last summer, and this is from the defensepost.com. And look at this, look at the title of this. It says here, U.S. military to use high altitude balloons against China and Russia, the report says. And so this was reported last summer. Looks like it originated from Politico, but it took place last summer. Now, apart from you having saw this directly, more than likely this was nothing of importance. So the fact that the U.S. military was going to do the similar thing to China and Russia for our own best interest, it's all fine and good. So just real quick, I'll read just some of the information that's just here, because when the shoe's on the other foot, there's a problem, as always. But it says here, real quick, it says the U.S. military is working on using high-altitude balloons to monitor China and Russia, according to a report by Politico. The balloons capable of flying up to 90,000 feet, which, of course, I'm just hearing a lot of these stories now. It looks like up to about 45,000 feet can actually be considered I guess, U.S. airspace. If you're flying over whatever country you're flying over, 45,000 feet is the high altitude that is considered your airspace. Anything beyond that is kind of mucky. So apparently this China balloon was flying about 60,000 feet. So technically speaking, it really wasn't, but it was. So all those little intangibles. But the U.S. apparently was planning on flying 90,000 feet, would reportedly become a part of the country's extensive surveillance network for tracking hypersonic weapons. And so it says the development comes amid international concern that Russia and China are ahead of the U.S. in hypersonic missile technology. According to the budget documents obtained by the outlet, the U.S. Department of Defense has signaled its intention to move with the technology beyond the scientific community to various military services. So not only was the balloon supposed to be used for scientific purposes, the U.S. military was going to move beyond that for military services. Okay, so it's all fine and good if the U.S. does it. But then again, whenever China or other nations decide to do something similar, it's a problem. We're gonna run with this. So I thought I would just start off with that, just because that's something to keep on the side in regards to this narrative that we're being sold. And so let me check in with the chat real quick, make sure everything is flowing smoothly. And if you haven't already, forgive me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button and show some support for the channel. Things are really bad on the back end over here as far as the algorithm just completely just killing the channel. It's amazing how things are plummeting, but I'll continue to do the best I can. All right. Says buy silver, buy platinum. So yeah, on the monetary side, we know the importance of making sure that you're quote unquote diversified out of debt and liabilities such as Federal Reserve notes and things of that nature into real tangible things. So we know that. But it's the in-between stuff, the distractions that's being thrown our ways, is leading to more of the issues that these distractions are all about. And so another little article real quick, just from someone in the financial realm. And so let me share this with you real quick here, and then I'll open up the phone lines and share my 2 cents. But here is a piece from, let me get this on here. Here's a piece from Zero Hedge, just basically using article from Eric Peters, who's a CIO at One River Asset Management. And just the title caught my attention because it also plays into a counter narrative to what we're being sold by the mainstream media. It says hedge funds CIO, China's helium balloon is a distraction. The real risks are off the radar. And so I'm thinking like, okay, we have someone in the financial realm talking about distractions. This China balloon is a distraction. I'm like, oh, okay, I can work with this. Let me see where he's going with this. So real sweet and simple. I read through this. It's real short, but he just lists some of what should be of greater concerns to people outside of all the stuff that's being thrown in our face. He talked about Jerome Powell's recent quarter point hike and all the issues that the Federal Reserve has gotten the world into. And ultimately, to sum this up, overall, he's just talking about how, the media sure loved all this, attention in regards to this balloon. He said, clicks, conspiracies, and cover-ups. It reminded us that what we fear need not make much sense. He says one such risk is that the nation with the world's most important economy and the mightiest military is becoming increasingly difficult to responsibly govern. And then he basically goes on, but the much larger object floating overhead is a Federal Reserve unfathomable bloated balance sheet, which is both impossible to photograph and even more difficult to explain to the nation's distracted citizenry. So ultimately saying that all the stuff that's going on, it's going to equate to, will precipitate, a hard landing. And so we have an economist or someone in the financial realm, a money manager guy, basically saying that it's a distraction. The real thing to focus on is the hard landing, ultimately, that they're trying to distract us from or trying to keep from occurring by prolonging things. Because as always, if we push this issue with China, China pushes back, that leads to conflict, i.e. military, and therefore more debt expansion and things like that. And you know what goes on from there. The balance sheet continues to go up on top of everything else. So I just thought that was very interesting for those two articles there. Not only was the U.S. intended on doing the same thing out of fear of the hypersonic weapons that was released from the article a minute ago, then another economist or financial guy talks about the real distraction, which is the balance sheet and everything related to it. So anyway, that's just some things that caught my attention about this whole balloon distraction. And of course, it just so many things don't add up. But I'm seeing more and more commentators now talk about, World War III, World War. Okay, we're going to war. Is this going to be it? I'm like, the West would definitely love that. Put it like that. The West would definitely love that. Let no crisis created or real go to waste. All right, so let me see. Jimmy, I got some. I can't even check with the chats. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to get some thoughts. I want to hear from you guys. So I want to open up the phone lines and actually, hear from you guys, man. This is a talk show. I don't want to hog the mic. And once I can get myself situated here, I can get this up here. All right. So as you guys can see, let your voice be heard. I'm going to stop this. Let's talk, man. Give me a call. I don't want this to be a ticker. I just want it to be on the screen. All right. So I want to open the phone lines. I'm curious to hear and get your thoughts. Of course, there's many different angles we can take from this, but I just think there's no coincidences whatsoever when it comes to a deteriorating global economy, and any excuse can be used to escalate to something greater. And we know how war happens to always save the globalists, but because it gives them another excuse to further enslave humanity through debt. So anyway, I want to hear from you guys, man. So feel free to throw some thoughts out in the chat, or let me exit out here so I can actually hear somebody. Okay. So if you guys have some thoughts you want to share, I'm definitely on board with that. Would love to hear some thoughts or highlight at Rethinking a Dollar, and I'll try to jump on them and put it on the chat. But I want to hear what you guys think about all this. Is this something that will definitely escalate, or is this something just, to cover up something that is under the radar right now that we're going to hear about in the next couple of weeks or so? Let me see here. So we have Ali says market crash, hurry up. Let me see. MW says hard. Let me see. Hard to study that the balloon was shot down in the ocean was in Canada's days too. Too many unanswered questions. Reports civilians shot it down. Really, they didn't get credit. Rumors. You decide. That's the thing. Like, if the primary information we receive comes from mainstream media, you can't trust anything. So apart from the people who are on the ground filming, those are the people who were there who may have more real information than what we're sold on mainstream lane media. And so if it originated in Canada, so apparently from what I heard is it went through Alaska, right into Canada, came down through Montana. But right then and there, the U.S. in cooperation with Canada should have known about it, or they did, and just waited till it got on above U.S. soil. And then they use that as a way just to get people's attention. Really it's all about getting people's attention over this past, for 3 or 4 days. And so now that it's being shot down over the water, the chance of them being able to recover anything is not likely because it's in the ocean. So once again, if they really wanted to find out what it was up there for, why wouldn't they just go up there and escort it down and bring it down? rather than shoot it down. If you really want to know what's inside or what's really going on, you might want to go get it and guide it down rather than shoot it down, or shoot it down over land where you can recover some of the pieces to really do some investigative work as to what was really going on there. And so, once again, was it handled correctly? If it was a foreign object in a U.S. space, come on now, like, one of the things that came to my mind, and so Jay says it could be a psyop, no doubt. Something smells funny, and it always smells funny when you're dealing with the West, man. It's just, our political, I can't even say leaders, our politicians over here, man. Everything is agenda based. What's the agenda for this upcoming spring? And I'm seeing a lot of unrest developing right now.